Hey guys, Dr. Decks here. Today we have a special guest all the way from Sydney, Australia, Mr. Craig Fountain from Outdure. Craig, thank you so much for being here. Technically, if you follow us on social media, you may have seen some of the progress we're making with his product. So if you haven't, go to our Instagram page at Dr. Decks and go check that out. And while I have you right now, don't forget to click that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. Craig, thank you so much. He came all the way. How many miles is that? Do you know?
Oh man, I don't know, but it's 20 hours.
20 hours. He came 20 hours just for little old me and to help me install his product, which Craig owns an aluminum subframe or framing system. He actually has a whole top and bottom, but what sparked my interest was this aluminum frame. We have so many issues with common wood framing in the States that I was looking for an alternative way to do a free-floating sleeper system on top of a rubber membrane roof that had just been redone by the homeowner, and we had to build something on top of it.
Yeah.
So I've been talking with Craig for 2 years now for this to come to fruition. We'll get some more footage for you about the build as time allows. But for today, I just want to introduce you to this man, and we're going to go over all of his products. We're going to put it in an easy-to-follow, step-by-step modulation so that you guys can catch each video as you have time. Again, really appreciate you guys coming in here and checking this out. Craig, thank you so much for being here. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what you're all about and why you're here.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'm the CEO of Outdure, so we've got about 50 guys in our team, and girls. It's a great team. We've got 3 offices internationally and about 4 different warehouses. So right from Europe, Asia, Australasia. We manufacture in Turkey, China, Malaysia. So we've got an international spread going on. We've been having our eye on the US market for a while, and now it's kind of time to step into it. So what we do is that we are essentially an exterior flooring company. So we sell the surfaces and we sell the framing underneath. And so by surfaces we mean composite decking, structural tiles and synthetic turf. And we've developed the quick build deck framing system, which is an aluminum framing system. And essentially that allows you to install any of those surfaces on it. So you can mix and match composite decking, structural tiles or turf or hardwoods or whatever you want to put onto it.
Anything that's designed for the outdoor flooring market, you have a system that it adapts to.
Yeah, 100%.
Pretty cool.
So we developed this system through a need of we were selling a lot of composite decking, and the issue with putting that onto lumber framing in a low height environment is that the lumber framing just wasn't performing. Mm-hmm. And so it was absorbing so much moisture and movement, and we would get phone calls saying, hey, you got to come to site, there's something wrong with the decking boards. And we would get there and the decking board's perfectly fine, but the subframe was just all over the show. Mm-hmm. The typical things like, the boards have shrunk when actually the frame has grown.
Right.
So the boards were still the same length.
Yeah.
But, end joists had rolled off because they weren't fastened properly, or they were just so full of moisture. Because, they're low to the ground.
Yep.
That
common problem here.
Yeah. So I'm a product designer. So I've got a degree in product design and system design. So we went to task and thought, right, we've got to create a solution for this. And we started off with really simple, rudimentary kind of aluminium sections and steel sections, and then finally came up with an extrusion design and all the bracketry that is required to join it together. Because trying to join aluminium and box sections a total headache. Like it doesn't join nicely. You've either got to weld it or you've got to have some kind of bracket to hold it together, or you're bolting it together. So, but the idea was to have as fewer components as possible to be able to create a strong, stable structure. So we grew it from one profile, which is a joist and beam profile, and now we've got 6 and soon to be more, with the involvement of you and giving us some customer feedback of what the what the US needs in terms of their requirements of spans and beams and things like that. So we go right from a half-inch joist profile, like I'm literally talking this big. So you can create a deck frame and surface structure that's
an inch
maybe
and a half.
2 inches off the ground.
Yeah, 2 inches off the ground.
Yeah.
That's pretty low. I've been in so many situations where there's a flat roof and the client just wants something nice and they don't want a sheet of vinyl as their deck surface. And I said, oh man, the lowest I can get would be 3 inches max, and it's still too high.
Yeah.
So to be able to get that down and squeeze that down to 1.5 inches to 2 inches is kind of amazing.
Yeah, well, what's really interesting is that when people build low-height decks, for some reason the whole philosophy of why you have a deck structure gets thrown out the window, and they go, well, that structure will be enough. It's only just going to be sitting there, but you've still got to remember the structure is there to provide a structure for the surface that you're attaching it to, not the other way around. So you don't want the surface overpowering the structure,
or trying to keep the lumber from warping and twisting. It's never good to sit any kind of lumber on a surface that's going to be continually wet. That's the first mistake that a lot of people make, is they just lay sleepers down right on top of a flat roof, and then they build right on top of it, and everything's good for about a year. Yeah. If that.
Yeah.
The system that we just used, that we just installed, this aluminum system, it's level, it's square, it's flat, and it's structural. So that's what I'm excited about. We're going to be getting into some more videos about the actual products, but first we're going to go through, give you the backstory about Craig, and then talk about the differences between his product, another product that's on the market called steel framing, and then just conventional wood.
Yeah, full comparison. What are the pros and cons of those 3 different framing options?
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about the products and maybe some of the services that you provide as far as your company goes.
Okay, sure. It's one thing to provide great product, but you need a service to go with it. So it's like saying, here's a bunch of aluminium, go and put it together. Everybody's going to be sitting there scratching their head.
I'm the perfect example of that. I am the perfect example of that. Craig shipped me 2 pallets of product, and it was still bundled up, and I'm looking at it going, okay, we'll figure it out.
Where do I start? Yeah.
And then I started looking at it, and I'm like, what's this? How does this work? And he decided to come over to the United States on his own time and his own dime to help me and show me how it works. And I can guarantee you one thing, that I would have been pretty lost on this first install without him being here. So that customer support thing not only rings true with Outdure, but it's very important.
Yeah, well, that particular deck project had some super technical things. Yeah. You normally wouldn't need your handheld like that. For an example, we have DIY warriors that are doing projects on a weekend all by themselves. So it's but what we really wanted to do was get a good understanding of the system for you, so that you just go, right, okay, I can do this easy peasy. So so what we do is, we've obviously got the range of structural components, so joists and beams, and they happen to be the same thing. So that's one advantage of it, is that it's a mix and match type configuration. So you've got lots of different configurations. Say if you've got 6 different profiles, you can mix and match almost every single one of them together. And in order to work out what their best configuration is, we've got software that we've developed with our partner in Austria and Europe. And so we then basically take your plans, and within a matter of moments, you have a surface design layer, and you have a structure design layer, and a full material list of everything that you need, and that's all complimentary, free of charge.
Wow. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
What about engineering? Can you supply all the engineering necessary with your products, so when we submit for our local jurisdiction for permitting, and then when I know the answer to this, I'm just asking it for you guys, but Craig actually supplied me with all the engineering for this job we're working on right now, and it was submitted to a local city building department and was approved.
Yeah.
So
So when you go through, so Well, basically, when you provide the information for a project, we've got just a series of questions that we go through. They're not exhaustive, but they're basically like, okay, what's the load rating that you need? Is it for residential use? Is it for commercial use? And if it's for commercial use, what type of commercial use? And then basically just automatically configures a full specification sheet for you. And you can give that to your engineer or your local building council or whoever's got to sign it off, and it's got all the specifications outlined so they know everything about it. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, and it adds a lot of value to our clients because otherwise they would normally have to enlist an external engineer to do all of this. So all the spans are certified by an engineer, 2 engineers actually.
Even better.
Yeah. So, and you get a full information pack with those designs.
Great. So, Craig, what type of projects is your product used for, and who's using it?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so it gets used for a whole range of products. So we've done train stations, resorts, large commercial rooftops. We're working on one now that's 40,000 square foot, so it's 4,000 square meters. Right
huge.
through to, Lorraine's backyard deck. It's only maybe 50 square foot or something like that. So it's really across the gamut from small to large, residential, commercial. So we do a lot of new builds as well as a lot of remodeling and renovation work. And it can be anything from very, very low height through to, 20 foot off the ground.
Wow.
It's no problem.
Quite a big spectrum. So some of the photos I've seen in the Sydney area, the flat rooftops that you guys are doing are just impressive. Like the size of the frame, it's just massive. And I've looked through some of your social media stuff, and it's really incredible to see just the structure before anything's installed, and how these guys are out there just knocking it out,
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
We've done some really weird and wonderful projects, like we're building basketball courts on the top of buildings.
Oh, how cool is that?
Built all the structure for it, or lawn bowls,
Sure.
built full lawn bowls greens, where it's, got to be level within a millimeter,
They gotta
otherwise
be
the
good.
ball's rolling off. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm blown away sometimes by what the customers are coming up with.
Yeah, it
Super
really is
impressive.
amazing.